You are going to be absolutely disgusted with how the solicitor of the two men who got off scotch-free for attacking the police officers in Manchester Airport and how he's handled this. He came out with a statement. It's 10 minutes long and it's an absolute, well, just watch this.
For the second time, including at this retrial, the jury was unable to reach a verdict on the single charge faced by both brothers, assault occasioning actual bodily harm against armed police officer PC Zachary Marsden at Manchester Airport on the 23rd of July 2024. The position of the two brothers has always been that they acted in self-defence, and today they were formally acquitted and a verdict of not guilty was recorded. PC Marsden, an officer who is at the heart of this case, took a running kick and stamp on the head of Fahir Amaz after he lay incapacitated on the ground, having been tasered. In our democracy, we have a right to expect that those in uniform act according to the law, and any force used must be reasonable, legitimate and proportionate. Since the two brothers were charged in 2024, they have been subjected to an orgy of race hate. Meanwhile, politicians such as Nigel Farage and far-right activists have operated with total impunity. Social media posts viewed by millions created a highly prejudicial atmosphere in which a lynch mob mentality that was racist, anti-Muslim, called for deportation, riots, the death penalty and the hanging of the two brothers if they were acquitted. Even their sister and their newborn baby were threatened. The brothers have been accused of being rapists, terrorists, drug dealers, yet they are nothing of the sort. It is a matter of public record that prior to this incident, that both Fahir Amaz and Mohammed Ahmad had never been in trouble before. And they come from a law-abiding family of multiple police officers who still serve with Greater Manchester Police, including their own older brother. At the heart of this trial was armed officer PC Zachary Marsden, who was described in court as a bully with a badge. This was an officer who, after Fahir Amaz was tasered, lying incapacitated on the ground, then had a running kick to his head, followed by a stamp. The background, often ignored in this case, is as follows. Mrs. Shameen Akhtar, their mother, was travelling back from holiday in Pakistan. Over the course of several hours on a flight, she claimed she was subjected to a tirade of racist abuse by an Arab man believed to work for the Kuwaiti police. As soon as she exited at arrivals and seeing her two sons waiting for her, the mother broke down into tears. She noticed the male in question when they walked past Starbucks. Both her sons approached the male and questioned him. The male was rude, he was threatening, and it's alleged he was racist. An altercation then took place. Following this, the family left Starbucks and they walked towards the nearby car park station. When they got to the car park station, Fahir Amaz was facing the ticket machine and trying to pay for parking. Three police officers, one armed male officer, PC Marsden, one armed female officer and one female constable approached Fahir. Without identifying himself, PC Marsden grabbed Fahir from behind by the neck and pushed his head into the ticket machine. At this point, his older brother, Mr. Ahmad, asked the police officer to move his hand from Fahir's neck. He could be heard in the video saying, "Easy, easy." The aggression and the violence used by PC Marsden was immediate. There was no attempt to speak to Fahir, to ask him to step aside or to caution him. When Mr. Ahmad asked the officer to remove his neck hold, PC Marsden proceeded to punch Mr. Ahmad to the side of his head, elbowing him in his face and punching him several times. At this point, Fahir had already broken loose and started to throw punches. Fahir Amaz then tried to run at PC Marsden, who had his back to him and who was standing in a shooting stance, pointing what Fahir believed to be a gun at his older brother. In fact, it was his taser. Fahir was then tasered from behind and landed face down on the ground. Mrs. Akhtar, the mother, then goes to Fahir and can be seen leaning on the floor over her son as he lies motionless on the ground. The taser is a less lethal firearm used by police officers that can emit up to 50,000 volts. It is at this point that PC Marsden stands up, ran and took a rugby-style kick into Fahir's face. Mrs. Akhtar, the mother, tried to pull her son's head away as PC Marsden then lifted his foot up and tried to stamp down. on Fahir's head. PC Marsden is seen in the CCTV and the mobile footage then kneeing Fahir in the back. At this point, the male officer still has his taser drawn. He then struck the mother, Mrs. Akhtar, directly in the face using his taser. PC Marsden then went on to kick Ahmad, who was compliant, sitting with his hands over his head, and drag him down onto the floor and used his taser again as a weapon and hit him on his head and then held him down with his knee. Armed officers in the United Kingdom are supposed to be highly trained professionals with the power of life and death, but provocation or the loss of control should be no defence in law. At the start of this case, we provided information on the conduct of several officers, including PC Marsden, to the IOPC and asked them to be referred to the CPS for criminal prosecution. Over many years, the Greater Manchester Police has been described as being full of rotten apples and accused of acting with systemic disregard for law and professional standards. In this case, a narrative was spun to justify what took place. CCTV was deliberately leaked from the most secure part of Manchester Airport. A threat to kill was made. A WhatsApp group was set up. The mother, Mrs. Akhtar, was struck in the face with a taser. 2 innocent bystanders were sprayed with pava spray. And even the far-right reform ended up playing a role. And there is so much more that we are unable at this stage to refer to publicly. Following a complaint being lodged by our office, notices were served by the IOPC on police officers which informed them that they were under criminal and gross misconduct investigation. These included Operations Outmarsh, Operations Marstow and Operations Woodygates. During the 2 trials, social media, beginning with the backdrop of the Southport riots, has played an incendiary role, almost derailing the administration of justice. Nigel Farage went on to discuss this live case during the first trial at a Reform press conference on the 21st of July 2025. Farage and Reform UK posted his statement, which it said, "In a system of 2-tier policing, under 2-tier justice has taken hold. You only have to look at the reluctance to prosecute those violent thugs in Manchester Airport who beat up the police officers." This happened during the trial. A press conference took place during the first trial and was broadcast live on BBC News, Times News and YouTube channel. Mr. Farage's posts reach an audience of millions. Many, of course, would amplify the message, misinform, incite, inflame, with unacceptable attacks on the jury, falsely accusing them of being all Asian and all Muslim. Nothing was further from the truth. The jury is the foundation of our legal system for hundreds of years and must be protected from unwarranted attacks by armchair activists and the far right. There was nothing 2-tier about the justice meted on my clients as they faced 2 trials and an estimated £2 million of costs being spent on this case. Today, justice was done. The trial judge last year, as reporting restrictions are lifted, in the first trial, referred Nigel Farage to the Attorney General for the consideration of contempt of court. We also lodged a dossier with the Attorney General on Mr. Farage and several prominent far-right social media offenders. The issue was whether they were guilty of contempt of court. Dangerous pogrom-like attitudes have contributed to a culture of hostility in this case, and indeed any trial in this country involving defendants from a black, minority, ethnic or Muslim community. The far right regularly claim a 2-tier justice system, yet they are the ones who operate out with the law. They incite social media hate, they inflame conspiracy theories, and they attack the right to a fair trial. It was disappointing that the Attorney General did not believe there was a substantial risk of those comments seriously prejudicing the course of justice and chose to take no action. The right to a fair trial is a fundamental principle of the justice system. Where public commentary or online activity undermines that principle, the law must be applied consistently and without fear or favour. As for our armed officers, who are supposed to be highly trained professionals, they are expected to take split-second decisions which can have the power of life and death, but quite rightly, in a democracy, they are expected to justify the decisions they take. Carrying a gun or a taser does not give them a license to kill or use excessive violence, nor escape accountability, whatever the circumstances, background, colour or religion of the suspect or accused. both Mr. Fayed Amaz, who is now in custody, has been in custody for some 10 months, and Mohammed Hamad have not just faced trial twice, but they have faced trial by social media. Their lives have been wrecked. But this is not over. The rule of law must also apply to those officers who broke the law or breached professional standards, and they must now face action from the CPS and the Greater Manchester Police. Thank you.